Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hello, welcome to the show. This is Glenn Ambrose with Life, Lessons, and Laughter, along with Ben.
How are you doing?
Awesome.
Good.
Well, today we're going to talk about the concept of oneness, and specifically how it works in our benefit.
Okay. You're gonna have to explain to me what this is.
Yes. Well, the concept of oneness is a large concept. So we might even need to do another podcast on this sometime, because there's lots of different ways to look at it. But basically, it's the idea that everything is connected. So everything's connected, everything's working in our favor because we are connected. So, like, I was explaining it to somebody the other day from the point of it wouldn't make sense for the universe to kind of hurt one person to lift up another. That concept wouldn't make sense.
Okay.
And the reason is that if we're all one, then it wouldn't make sense to hurt one part of myself to benefit another part of myself. So if I hurt my toe, I'm not going to sit there and say, screw it, it's just a toe. It's no big deal. It's really not that important. It's part of me. So I'm going to do what it takes to heal it. And that's the concept. And stretch out your mind now for a minute. Stretch. That's the concept of the whole universe all being one.
All right. I still don't get it exactly. I think I get the vague outline of it, but specifically, like, I don't know. Aren't things hurt to help other things? Like,
no. No, we'll have contrast in our lives to try to wake us up for our betterment. If we don't get any negative feedback, we don't know what we're doing wrong. So that's the point of contrast in our lives. There isn't a time when somebody gets hurt to lift up something else. The only time anybody experiences any pain is for their own benefit. It's to wake them up and go, hey, you're going in the wrong direction. This is not good for you. It's not to lift up another part.
Okay. I see that. I don't know. What about the, like, all right, this is going to sound weird, but I'm currently in the middle of a production of The Lion King, so that's why my thought process is going here. But, like, it reminds me of the song "The Circle of Life," like, and the explanation of that. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? You're familiar with the movie, right? Like, so I'm specifically talking about, like,
Circle of Life is fairly explanatory.
Yeah, like,
are you telling me why a lion eats something?
No, why, like, there's a part where Simba's like, so, but we eat the antelope. And he's like, yes, and when we die, our body goes into the ground and fertilizes the soil. And
Right.
That's bad for the lion.
No, it's
Is it not?
No.
Right.
Why is death bad? Like that's the problem is we label it. We label it and say that's not supposed to be happening. Like there's something wrong with it. If death is bad, we're all screwed. And the whole system is shot. Like because everything dies.
Is that not? I just thought that was a fact. We are all screwed, and
no, it's the opposite.
The system is shot.
If we think that the reality of what actually happens in this world is incorrect, and we know better than the universe, and we can look at things from our small perspective and determine what's good and what's bad without being able to see the whole picture, well, then we label things as good and bad. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not bad. It just is. It's part of the system. Millions upon millions, probably hundreds of millions, probably billions of things will die today alone all over the planet. So if death is bad, we would be so far out of balance that we wouldn't be able to find our way back, So it's just that we label it as bad because we have feelings of missing people when they're not here and things like that, and then we enmesh that into thinking that it's wrong that they're no longer with us because it causes us sadness, and we don't like to feel sadness,
But apparently the sadness is beneficial for you. That's the only reason why you're feeling it.
Well,
isn't that what you said earlier? When something bad happens to you, it's not to help something else; it's for you.
Right, but that's actually a good point because that's where people get blurred a lot. Sadness is just resisting the fact that they're not here. That's not something happening to you. You're feeling sadness because you're resisting the fact that that person isn't here. So that's our own internal judgments forcing that sadness to come up in us. There are people who are very close to a loved one, and that loved one passes on, and they're fine with it. They don't go through a huge period of suffering. They may go through little parts of missing that person, but they understand that it's a circle of life and that they're on the other side and they're fine and everything is okay, and they don't judge it as bad. And those people don't go through a lot of grieving and suffering. They may go through periods of loneliness or missing that person to some degree, but they don't label it as bad, therefore they don't go through the suffering.
Okay. I'm starting to get what you're saying. Well, when you break it down like that, that's easier to understand because I understand the suffering as resistance and the but I'm still all right. So this idea of oneness is this is I am you, and is this one
Yeah.
consciousness? Is that the
Yes.
same thing?
Yes,
Or-
it's the idea that
this is the moment where I usually stop listening to someone.
yeah.
I just
Yeah, I understand. It happens. No, it's a huge concept to wrap your brain around. It really is, and I think it's even larger to really implement into your life and really function from this belief. It's really a profound spiritual transformation when people are able to do that. So the swallowing that concept that everything is one is difficult. The idea is that everything is basically one energy field. We're all made up of energy. Everything's made up of energy, and we're all connected that way. Quantum physics has found. We're so focused on the concept of linear that everything takes time and you do this plus this equals this, and that's how things are on this planet, so we believe. So it's hard for us to understand that things are happening all at the same time for our benefit. Quantum physics has proven some of that by taking, they take, what is it, like a molecule or something. I'm real scientific, a molecule or something. An atom or something.
all right. Yeah.
But what they do is they
Stay
take
broad.
it.
Stay broad. Go ahead.
They take it, and when they put them next to each other, they'll synchronize the rotation that they have. And then they separate them and put them on different sides of the planet, and they're still rotating at the same time in the same direction. Then they'll take one stop it and reverse its rotation, and the other one on the other side of the world reverses its rotation at the same exact time, because they've made that connection. And it's happening at the same time. It's not like they stop, reverse one, and then it sends a signal over to the other one, and then it stops and reverses it. It's at the exact same time. So it's happening in the same consciousness. So, and then this is this is where the glassy-eyed stare comes in.
You're starting to sound like a teacher in Charlie Brown.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay, all right. So that happens in atoms or molecules,
right,
or,
which is what we're made up of,
right?
and everything's made up of.
Sure.
So it can happen within us. It can happen everywhere. It's little things like that we've been able to prove through science that is pointing to the direction that we are all one. We're starting to prove it, which is cool to me. You know, we've gone out and we've used science to prove all kinds of stuff, and we've gotten to the point where we've gotten so deep underneath things and within things that we're finding information that we can't explain except in concepts like oneness. There's, you know, there aren't, you can't explain that in another way. Like, what if if something's happening at the same time, that means there's no such thing as time, and things are interconnected. Like, that's really the only explanation for that. So if there's no such thing as time and things are interacting within each other, then they must be acting from the same consciousness. There's not a thought and then, or an action, and then a signal sent, and then another action based off of that. So if there's not two separate thoughts, then it must be acting from one thought at the same time. And that's the cool part, I think, is that we're starting to finally prove this stuff. Yeah, this is... I knew this was going to go in this direction. It's like, it's such a huge concept. I mean, honestly, I don't live every day of my life functioning from the core concept that we are all one. I'm not there yet. I understand it. I believe in it. I get it. I implement it when I can. But this is such a foundational core concept that people who are completely enlightened, let's say, they can function from this understanding in basically every area of their life at all times. I'm just not there yet.
I don't understand this idea that things are not linear, that there's no such thing as time. If there's no such thing as time, why do we age? Why do we grow? Why do we die? Like, if there's no such thing as time,
yeah,
how do those things happen? Like, life happens linearly.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, life happens in time.
Yeah, and that's our core. That's how most things that happen in this world is because we believe that it happens that way.
So if that's just how we perceive it, then if you changed your perception of time, you could stop time and live forever? That doesn't make sense.
Well, you have people that have done their versions of it. Have people that have lived for, 130 years, and some say there's been sages over the years that have, and I don't think they had scientific proof of this at the time, that'll say that they lived for like 200-300 years.
Sure,
So,
with
but
no scientific proof.
Right, with no scientific proof.
Although even the Bible says, like, the Bible suggests that, like, Noah or like lived to like 700 years old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when there's deeply spiritual truths being told in religions and things like that, there are stories of this type of stuff, because this is nothing new. People have pondered it and thought about it, and that's what's exciting, is we're getting to the point now in science where we're starting to prove these types of theories. The thought is, I've heard it phrased this way, that life force is what keeps us alive, basically. And that if we were able to harness life force in a way that, like a child does, and not have all the conditioning of our society pack us down and teach us different things, and we could just constantly feel new ideas, get excited about them, and create them in our lives, and then work off of that with the same enthusiasm. If we developed that habit, that we wouldn't ever die, because that life force that's flowing through us would never diminish. But we have this idea. I mean, look at the whole idea of retirement. Is like, well, when you get a certain age, you stop and do nothing. And everybody wants that so bad.
Right.
But that's diminishing your life force.
Right.
In most people's cases. I mean, the people who really enjoy retirement are the ones who actually do
stuff.
that do stuff with their life,
Well, that's why, I don't know the percentage, I would just be making it up if I said it, but a staggering number of retirees die, within the first few years.
Right. Yeah, because it's their reason for being, their mental reason for being has stopped. They identify with who they are, with what they do for a living, and then all of a sudden they're not doing that anymore. They don't know how to reconcile that, and then the life force stops flowing and they die because they don't have any focused reason to keep moving on, So, and that's more proof that geez, there's something to this,
This sounds like you're talking about a video game that has a little life meter. And
way to bring it into the the present.
I'm just you have a little life meter, and you have to, every once in a while, you have to go find something in the game to bring that back up.
Kinda.
I don't know.
I mean, I think the trick is to keep a steady diet of it, just keep that energy flowing through you.
Right. I don't know. I'm way out on a limb. I don't know what this...
There's plenty of people my age that just... Well, there's plenty of people in society that if you look in their eyes, there's not a heck of a lot going on there. And I'm not talking about mental capacity. I'm not talking about thinking. They're overthinking. I'm talking about life. When they just get up, go to a job they don't like, come home, complain about dinner, yell at the kids to get the homework done, and go to bed and get up and do it over again. And it's that's one of my favorite things in the job that I do, is seeing somebody like that is just looking around going, you know what? There's got to be more to life than this. I'm just not happy. There's just no, and what it is they don't have that life force flowing through them. They're just existing, and it feels uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden they start looking for what brings them joy and happiness, and bringing that life force back into their life. And all of a sudden you see the light go back into their eyes, and they're enthusiastic and they're excited, and they go do things in their life, and they're like, oh my God, this is so wonderful. That's one of the coolest things that I've ever seen is I don't necessarily see it in people's eyes. Every once in a while, if somebody's really depressed, I can see it. But generally, I don't. When I look at people in society, I don't see the deadness in their eyes. What I do see is I see it come back on when it goes on. And it's like, oh my God, it jumps right out at me. It's awesome. But that's that universal energy that they're connecting to. you know, and the concept that we are all connected and we are all one. There's a lot of things around the world that are based on that. There's people and large groups of people all over the world just meditating to raise the consciousness, raise the vibration on this earth. And that's their idea, is that we're all interconnected. And if they raise the vibration on this earth, then everybody is going to benefit off of it. It's going to make it that much easier for people to raise their own vibration or to choose something happy. Because if you're in a dense energy, like bring this back to an individual person, if you're really feeling depressed and you're just you can feel that heaviness, that dense energy, it's hard to move in that. It's hard to get excited. It's hard to go do something when you're feeling down and depressed. But when the energy is lighter and more upbeat, it's easier to get motivated and go do something.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how it works on an individual level. If it works that way on an individual level, it works that way in a collective level. So that's what they're trying to do, is raise the vibration. So it's just that much easier for people to move in a positive direction with their lives by raising the vibration. And it really helps people focus on what brings them joy and happiness and head in that direction.
Explain, if you can, oneness in between people. Because that's I think I can get behind the concept of like, I am one with the universe. That's fine. But like, I am one with you and you are one with that guy over there. Like,
yeah,
that's weird.
Well, right. And that's because we're all set up with, an idea of separation in our heads first off. So it's, all the religions have said it over the years. And, Jesus was, what you do to the least of my brothers, you do so to me. It's been talked about. So it's the idea that we're all energy. We are all one living being working off of each other. So it's the whole if I hurt my toe thing. Like if we're one, if we are all one being and I go hurt somebody else, then I'm just hurting the energy field that I'm a part of. Right. So it just brings down the energy in the whole field. So it's the other concept is nature, the ocean. That we're all, the universe is the ocean, where each of us is a wave, or each of us is a cup of that water. We're made up of the same thing. Right. We're all part of one.
Yeah.
Now you can scoop up a cup and be like, oh, okay, this is one person, that's one person, that's one person, that's one person. But we're all the same. We're all connected. We're all part of the larger whole, energetically.
Okay, so that makes more sense.
Yeah, I like the ocean one.
Yeah, me too. I have a quote for today. Actually, I have two. We'll see how this one goes. It's long. A human being is a part of the whole, called by us universe. A part limited in time and space, he experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical illusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to enhance all living creatures and the whole beauty in its nature. Albert Einstein.
I love Einstein quotes. I didn't know that was him. I love Einstein quotes because he got it. You know, he understood a lot the oneness ideas. That he was so spiritual, but he came at it from a scientific angle, which I love because it marries the two. It kind of takes. I heard somebody say, "I don't understand why the people of God and the people of science argue." Because basically science is the proof of God. And I love that because it's true. Like if we get underneath it deep enough and we bring things to an energetic level, it's all the same thing. So I also read somewhere, somebody said that if you ask what God is, to a religious person, they might say something like, God always has been, always will be, he's the beginning of the end, is everything, can never die. That would be God. If you ask a scientist to explain energy, he would say basically the same thing. You know? So it's those concepts that kind of bridge the gap between our intellectual state and our spiritual state. We're getting to that point in the evolution of man because we need to change or else we're going to blow ourselves up. So that's why the evolution is happening now. But our science is bringing us there. Our science is bringing us to the point where we're going, oh, everything is energy. And within that energy, there's some divine vibration that we can't explain that determines what things are. And we're finding out that everything's connected and nothing ever actually dies. To bring it back to the beginning, nothing ever actually dies. It just changes form. So this death that we're all scared of, it's not even happening. It's just a transition of form. That's all. So we're understanding all this stuff, and we're starting to prove it scientifically, which melds all the spirituality and the science together, and then we can meet in the truth. We can meet in the truth.
I don't think anyone that fears death is afraid of the physical aspect of it. I think it's all about awareness. I think that the part that throws us is that the shift. I think that's why people want really badly to believe in ghosts. Like, you know what I mean? Because any evidence that your consciousness doesn't go away, that the awareness is still there, that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
is it there's one thing that I really liked that is on that topic, and I heard that you can imagine anything because anything is possible. You can. Absolutely anything is possible if you can expand your mind far enough, and that's how we've made inventions and walked on the moon and all that stuff because somebody imagined it. Yeah. With that idea, you can imagine anything except not being. You can't imagine not being because it's impossible. It's impossible to not be. Now we could change form. We can imagine dying. We can, but we can't imagine just not being. That's because energy never dies, so it's impossible. It's impossible for us to not be. And I've sat there, man, and just tried to imagine me not being in any form, just no longer existing in any way, shape, or form. And I cannot wrap my brain around it. I can't imagine it.
Let's never do an episode strictly on death. I know it seems like a good idea, but I will have a panic attack on the podcast. So let's not do it because I'm already getting queasy talking about what we've already talked about.
That sounds like an invitation
No.
to touch a nerve.
No. So
our next podcast will be
So oneness. Anything else you want to say on it?
I think one of the
I think I get it, by the way.
good. And I think one of the nicest things about oneness is that everything is conspiring for us. You know, that idea of that. Because if we're not, like I was saying, we can't hurt one portion to raise another portion, to help another portion, because we're all one. So it just hurts and helps at the same time. We never get anywhere. So if that's the case, and the oneness, it's all one energetic connected being, or trying to better itself, trying to evolve, trying to get better, then we constantly, the universe is conspiring for our favor. Because if I get better, then the vibration raises and everybody else benefits off of it. You know, like Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. Start with you. Why? Because when your life gets better. But not only that, it actually enhances everybody else's life, even if they don't feel it. It raises the vibration, so it's that much easier for other people to make better choices. So it's that collective idea that there would be no benefit. Nothing on this earth comes in to hurt itself. That goes against nature. We're always trying to expand ourselves. You know, nothing's trying to hurt itself. Everything's nature is to expand itself. So if we're trying to expand and get better, then the whole point of the universe is to get better. And if we are part of it, then the whole universe is conspiring for us to get better. That's what it wants. We can put up a block to that whenever we want. But when we remove those blocks and allow it to come, everything is conspiring for our favor. And I think that's one of the nicest concepts of oneness. And I think it's a really nice idea to walk around through life with. You function from that, there's some hope.
All right. How can people get in touch with you?
You know, the best way, just go to my website, life-enhancement-services.com. And all my info is there. Reach out if you got any questions, comments, concerns, and we'll deal with them then.
Okay. Cool.
So thanks for listening, everybody. We will speak at you soon.
This podcast is presented by New Shore Productions. Executive producers Glenn Ambrose, Benjamin Barber, and David DeAngelis.